When we think about AI, we usually picture code floating around in the cloud, something kind of abstract. But right now, it is getting its hands dirty in one of the most physical industries on the entire planet, global logistics. Yeah, we're talking about the actual ships, trucks, and planes that move literally everything you own and use. And we're going to unpack this whole revolution by looking at one company that's right in the heart of the storm, Flexport. And let's just kick things off with this incredible promise from Flexport's CEO, Ryan Peterson. In an industry that runs on razor-thin margins and just mind-boggling scale, a 10% price cut? That's not just an improvement, that is a fundamental tectonic shift. It's the kind of promise so big it could only be powered by a totally new kind of intelligence. So you might be thinking, okay, that's a nice headline, but is it real? Well, it turns out this isn't some far-off prediction. The results are already coming in, and they're not just hitting the targets, they're basically breaking one of the fundamental laws of the logistics universe. Okay, let's get into it. One of Flexport's first big AI models, its job is to find the absolute best ship for every single container, has already cut their ocean freight costs by 2%. Now I know, 2% might not sound like a world-changing number, but when you're shipping billions of dollars worth of goods, that is a massive, massive win that goes straight to the bottom line. But believe it or not, that's only half the story. Because here's the kicker. That same model, the exact same one, also slashed transit times by a staggering 20%. Just wrap your head around that for a second. The goods didn't just get cheaper to ship, they got to where they were going almost a quarter faster. This is where it gets really, really interesting. You see, for decades, the entire world of logistics operated on one simple, brutal choice. You can have it fast or you can have it cheap. Pick one. You were never, ever allowed to have both. What this AI is doing is just shattering that old trade-off. It's proving you can have both faster and cheaper at the same time. That's not just an improvement, it's a completely new reality. All right, so we've seen the big picture impact. Now let's pop the hood and see what this AI is actually doing minute by minute, day by day to make all this happen. What does this intelligence really look like down on the ground? And this slide just perfectly captures the before and after. The old way was so manual. The CEO jokes it should have been called freight email forwarding. But now, you've got AI agents doing all that grunt work. And get this. This is the part that just blows my mind. If an AI agent emails a warehouse to confirm an address and doesn't get a reply, it will then place an automated voice call to a human at that warehouse to get the confirmation. That's not science fiction anymore. That's just how business gets done. And the to-do list for these AIs is just immense. We're talking about AI that can read and actually understand thousands of rows in super complex shipping contracts. It's letting customers just ask plain English questions like, hey, where's my stuff? It's even reading customer messages, detecting frustration in their tone, and automatically flagging it for a manager. And it's solving puzzles no human possibly could, like instantly finding a new, perfect route for over 2,000 containers that get canceled every single week. And this is maybe the most crucial point. The AI isn't just doing the work humans used to do, it's doing really valuable work that was never done before, simply because it was way too expensive. Think about it. Having a person call every single warehouse to double-check an address would cost a fortune. And AI can do it for pennies. It's unlocking a whole new layer of efficiency that was basically economically impossible before now. But look, having the best technology in the world is only half the battle. If you really want to revolutionize a company, you have to change the culture. You've got to get everyone on board, especially the non-engineers, and get them to see themselves as builders in this new AI-powered world. And you can literally pinpoint the moment everything changed. Just 18 months ago, AI was this little niche thing at Flexport's company hackathons. Then ChatGPT came out, and boom, the floodgates just blew wide open. Today, 90% of all projects at their hackathons are built on large language models. And this wasn't some memo from the CEO. This was a bottom-up, grassroots revolution sparked by employees who saw the power for themselves. So what does Flexport do? They see this spark, and they pour gasoline on it with this fascinating program, an AI bootcamp for their operations staff. They take the people with decades of real-world logistics experience, and they give them 1 day a week for 3 months to just learn AI and low-code tools. The goal isn't just to make them a little better at their old job, it's to turn them into builders who can automate their own work and become 10 times more productive. Okay, so we've been zoomed in on one company, but now let's pull the lens back. What happens when this fire starts to spread?
Let's talk about the massive ripple effects this level of automation could have on the entire global economy and, well, on all of us.
I mean, just look at the speed of this. Flexport started the year with about 20% of its work automated. The goal is to hit 50% by the end of the year. But here's the wild part. They used to think the absolute ceiling for automation was maybe 80%. Now, they believe it's closer to 95%. The goalposts are moving in real time because the tech is just getting better that fast. Which, of course, brings us to what might be the single most important question of our lifetime. In a huge global industry that employs millions of people, what actually happens when almost all of the human operational work can just be done by AI? Well, here's one perspective, and it's a pretty stark, purely economic one from Ryan Peterson. He argues that a company's main purpose isn't to create jobs, it's to deliver goods and services as efficiently as possible. And in that world, the company that uses the least amount of labor will have the lowest costs, and it will win by giving the most value to the customer. Now, this idea leads to what some people are calling the white pill take on AI. It's the super optimistic view. The argument is that this massive wave of automation won't lead to scarcity and job loss, but to radical abundance. If AI can make everything dramatically cheaper, it could unleash an unbelievable economic boom. Some analysts are even talking about 7% GDP growth a year. To put that in perspective, that's enough to double the size of the entire global economy every single decade. So, what's the end game here? Where is all of this? The tech, the automation, the cultural shift, where's it all headed? Well, it's pointing towards a future where logistics looks nothing like it does today. And the vision is actually beautifully simple and powerful. The ultimate goal is for logistics to become an invisible utility that just works, kind of like electricity. I mean, you don't think about the power plants or the thousands of miles of wires when you flip on a light switch. In the same way, a business shouldn't have to worry about the insane complexity of global shipping. They should just be able to focus on making a great product, knowing the delivery part will just happen. And so that leaves us with one final, huge question to chew on. We've just seen the playbook for how AI can take a complex, messy, very human industry and turn it into a quiet, efficient, automated utility. So if it can happen to global trade, what's next? Which of the other invisible pillars of our economy, think about insurance or law or even healthcare, is about to get eaten by AI?